And now changing topics, the Cuban Ministry of Culture and Unesco hosts an international conference in Havana to commemorate 30 years of program destined to break the silence on slavery and its trends that continue until the present. Collaborator in Havana, Belén de los Santos, brings us the details.
New Narratives, Memory, Resistance, and Vindication. That is the title under which Cuba is hosting an international conference in celebration of the 30 years of UNESCO's program, The Routes of the Enslaved People, dedicated to the building of a common memory of resistance that breaks the silence over one of humanity's largest tragedies that continues to shape today's world.
We are commemorating these 30 years of creative and educational work to educate people against all traces of racism, racial discrimination, and xenophobia.
Slavery also hit us. It's part of our history and it is present in literature. It's present in art and in Cuban writers, in essayists, in narrators, in poets. And visual artists have also had it as a reference. It is a scourge that is still latent.
The Vice President of the Scientific Committee of UNESCO's program, Dudu Dien, highlights the importance of this collective memory, as the spirit of slavery persists in the modern world. In this context, the creative resistance of Afro-descendants continues to offer possible answers to present challenges.
The ideological pillar of the slavery is still there. It is being now expressed by the neoliberalism system, which put the market at the center of life. And what is interesting for me, the lesson I am drawing, is that the Afro-descendants, and this conference is showing it, by their history, by their very intelligent, creative intelligence of resistance, have represent one of the forces of the modern world who can neutralize the dehumanization of the neoliberal system.
Among the program's objectives is the need to deconstruct previous discourses that continue to support a system of racial oppression. According to Nigerian Nobel Prize-winning author Wole Soyinka, art plays a significant role in this battle.
Art is a sanctuary, not just individual alone, but collective. As you can see when you visit galleries, when you go to theater, when you go to a music hall, a concert hall, you see that it's both individual and collective. That's why I think that despite all the pains, all the frustrations, sometimes even failures, to be engaged in that occupation for me is one of the greatest gifts to mankind.
In this context, the program organized by Cuban Ministry of Culture, UNESCO, and the Fernando Ortiz Foundation included a visit to an exhibition of Cuban artist Manuel Mendive. According to Cuban Museum of Fine Arts director Jorge Hernandez, Mendive's work is an example of the possibility of resignifying the past that shaped the Cuban and Caribbean culture and transforming it into new forms of resistance.
Mendive's work is not a work that incites hatred, that incites rancor. As his exhibit's name says, bread with guava, a happy life, which by the way is also a snack, a typical meal for any Cuban. In a time of emergency, you prepare a piece of bread with guava and you kill your hunger and you say, well, I'm over hunger now, which is a feeling as agonizing as thirst. But that hunger and thirst, in Mendive, is made into happiness. He has always been for unity, for national unity, for cultural unity, for unity of colors, for racial unity. This is very important, because we all have to get together and love each other, so that we can continue to love one another and make our neighbors also love as much as we love ourselves.
Just as Manuel Mendive's work speaks of unity, Cuba continues to be an example in the world of the people's capacity for solidarity and resilience. That is why, in the words of Wole Soyinka, Cuba is to this day a part of Africa.
Cuba is something for us, even on the African continent, to point out as possibilities, despite all the difficulties, despite the inhuman privations, and I'm talking about sanctions. Despite all of that, Cubans have kept their dignity. So it's one of the reasons why we cannot let Cuba go from Africa, because it represents certain values which are important to us also as human beings.